George Boutwell, Massachusetts congressman, senator, cabinet secretary, drafter of the 14th Amendment, member of the Harvard Board of Overseers, claimed for Lincoln the place next to Washington, whether we have regard to private character, to intellectual qualities, to public services, or to the weight of obligation laid upon the country and upon mankind. Boutwell rested that claim on 3 great papers from Lincoln's hand: the Proclamation of Emancipation, his oration at Gettysburg, and his second inaugural address. But especially the Emancipation Proclamation. Lincoln was personally the enemy of slavery, and he ardently desired its abolition. Emancipation was his path, and he walked fearlessly in it. The proclamation thus became his passport to immortality. If all that Lincoln said and was should fail to carry his name and character to future ages, the emancipation of 4 million human beings by his single official act is a passport to all of immortality that earth can give. Boutwell was far from the only one of Lincoln's contemporaries to draw this conclusion. Looking at the history of the world, concluded Edward F. Bullard, the proclamation of January 1, 1863, is the greatest event within the last 1800 years. Massachusetts Governor John Albion Andrew, who had repeatedly criticized Lincoln's slowness in issuing the proclamation, hailed its appearance in September 1862 as a mighty act, grand and sublime after all. The abolition journalist Moncure Daniel Conway thought he had witnessed the final combat between Jesus and Satan in America, that in the proclamation, a victorious sun appeared about to rise upon the new world of free and equal men. The philosopher General Ethan Allen Hitchcock called the proclamation the most important paper that has emanated from this government since the foundation of the Constitution. And Missouri politician Charles D. Drake, who had been as reluctant for emancipation as John Andrew had been impatient, assured his hearers in January 1863, "My friends, if any words have, in the history of the world, emanated from the ruler of any people which had a more august and enduring import than those, I know not of them. An involuntary feeling of awe rises within me as I read them, and endeavor to scan their probable influence upon the future of America and of humanity. They ring out the glad peal of this nation's deliverance." Lincoln's vice president, the Maine abolitionist Hannibal Hamlin, wrote Lincoln as soon as the preliminary version of the proclamation was released to say that it will stand as the great act of the age. And like Boutwell, Hamlin predicted that future generations will, as I do, say, "God bless you, this great and noble act." Boutwell, Hamlin, and the others were, as we know, wrong, and so was Lincoln about Washington. We live in a world come of age, a world in which any and all questions of significance are answered without resorting to authority, and in which our lives are perfectly manageable on a day-to-day basis, without reference to the leading strings of ethics, religion, law, or history. In such a world, heroic reputations of the sort Lincoln, Hamlin, and Boutwell described seem as bizarre as the heroic statuary of Lenin and Saddam Hussein. Only those still in their cultural adolescence will accept the condescending pennies of the past for guidance or gift, or even care enough to make the adolescent's conventional statement of prematurity by pulling the statuary down. In a world come of age, space is won by demonstrations of weakness and suffering, not strength and genius. Seriousness is mocked as inauthenticity and surface. Dietrich Bonhoeffer, who may be said to have authored the concept of a world come of age, spoke of how pointless it is in such a world to expect acknowledgments of intellectual or moral indebtedness.